And remember, it's not because oxygen's low as to why your body is saying you need to breathe. The feeling is to do with carbon dioxide.
But if rugby teams and professional football teams are employing breathing coaches, okay, maybe it's because they want to get a professional advantage. So for your standpoints, if you can take 10% on board of what Jacko's shown me today, then that to me is a big leap forward.
We know intuitively when someone is fast mouth breathing, it's not good. It's a sign of weakness. It's a bad habit that we all go to. And one of the things we want to be able to do is stay away from that as much as possible. Give you the tools to, give you some physical tools to be able to do that. Just relevant. So I went for years without knowing that my breathing was bad, because awareness is key to change everything. Until you start to be aware of what is correct breathing and how can I do this better to facilitate my performance improvements, we don't know. If you've had a concussion, with 99.9% or so, some ridiculously high percentage chance that your breathing will have been affected, because what governs your breathing is the respiratory centre, which is in the brainstem. But the brainstem in the middle is getting like rattled basically. That can affect then our breathing patterns in terms of physically where you breathe from. Fast mouth breathing that's poor tends to be more from up here with the upper chest rather than with the diaphragm, which is lower down between the ribs. Huge benefits to like our everyday health, wellness, our nervous system, managing stress, managing anxiety, that better breathing will do because it is linked in with the nervous system and your heartbeat. Your breathing, your heartbeat and your autonomic system are all linked together, they facilitate each other. But one of those things that's the easiest for you to control is your breathing. So if I don't think about my breathing, my body will keep me alive by just breathing automatically. But I can choose to dictate and do something with my breathing to facilitate better performance, better recovery, better stress management, better sleep. We can control all of that with our breath. In terms of performance, we can increase the amount of red blood cells within your body by doing specific breath holding work. It's the same, has anyone heard of altitude training? Yeah. We go to altitude where oxygen is less. Your body adapts at altitude to there being less oxygen. One of the things it will do is it will start to become more efficient in terms of oxygen delivery, and we can get some stimulation of producing more red blood cells. You get an advantage physically, but also mentally. When you're struggling, did anyone start to struggle to like count? Losing count. So counting without holding your breath is easy. But when oxygen's low and CO2 is high, it's the same in terms of gases within your body of you being really fatigued. But cognitively, when we're feeling really tired, we find it more difficult to focus and concentrate on simple things. How many times, my context of rugby was like, how many times did I drop a pass? Not because I can't catch the ball, I've got the skill to do it, but when I'm really fatigued, oxygen's low, CO2 is high, it's harder to concentrate. We just proved to some of us, counting steps, that cognitive function of that is challenging when I'm feeling out of breath. But we're looking at increasing the oxygen carrying capacity of your blood, improving VO2 max, improving the efficiency of your oxygen delivery to your muscles and your tissues. Every single cell in your body, so not just your muscles, every single cell needs oxygen to make energy. So how you get oxygen in to the body, into the blood and into the tissues is important. We can improve the way that we deliver oxygen. You're going to then have more energy, you're going to recover faster, and you're going to be able to perform at a higher intensity than potentially your breathing or your respiratory system is able to do at the moment. Our diaphragm is a muscle, and like any muscle in the body, it can be trained. Stronger muscles function better, have better endurance. How I recover when I'm after training, so once training's finished, how do I regulate my breathing to regulate my nervous system back down? When you're fighting, you're in an exercising, we're in a stress state. And we get better and the body adapts to that stress that's placed in the body. So when you feel like you need to breathe fast, or even now, when you take your next breath, what's dictating that is the respiratory centre in the brain. I said for me it got rattled a lot and messed up. That is what it's measuring, not oxygen going down to tell you when to take your next breath in. It's noticing when CO2, carbon dioxide, rises to say, right, it's got to a level that we need to now get rid of it. Yeah? We're always breathing until you die. So you've always got the chance to do something and try to improve it. But we want to get it to the point of rest where it's effortless. In the ring, when you're fighting, I want you to do whatever your body wants to do. You don't want to be thinking about it and trying to control it too much. But in rest periods, in training, we practice being better with it to facilitate better habits in there when you're not thinking about it.
Well done, everybody.
How you breathe at rest, your base level is what everything else can build upon. Do we appreciate that concept? Definitely. If you breathe crap when we're not doing anything, you're going to breathe even worse when we start training. When I said then nasal, everyone, not everyone, some people, I heard it in a few different, did you hear it as well? Some people went, okay, I'm going to nose, and then their nose went. That's not normal breathing. That's like strong inhale. Okay? So normal breathing is quiet. You start warming up, and you warm up, you're doing some like movements around in the circle, it's low level. It's not hard, is it? It's easy, it starts really easy. When it's easy, can you still be quiet? Me and Christian are like next to each other, and I can hear him breathing super heavy. Encourage each other and remind each other, don't breathe like a train when we're just going really easy. So rather than vertical, we're looking at breathing horizontally. Rather than shallow and upper chest, we're looking at breathing from low down with the diaphragm. And rather than it being fast, we're looking at it being slower. Slower is more efficient. And rather than being from the mouth, we breathe through the nose. The nose provides more resistance, about 50% more resistance than mouth breathing does. But that resistance gives the diaphragm something to pull against and helps to slow your breathing down a bit. As I breathe in to widen, so I get this movement laterally as that angle opens up, because that gives a space for the diaphragm to move down. But then my exhale is just as important as the inhale. That needs to come back together and flatten down towards the pelvis. And then the diaphragm can go back to its resting position. What can help is just literally rub where those ribs are on each line. You have a lot of receptors in the skin. By you touching them, it's like telling the brain this is where we want to move. So those lower ribs. I want you to go around the back as well, because you're three-dimensional. When you breathe in, everything around here wants to expand. I'm going to give us an exercise to do where we're going to help to facilitate that better movement of the ribs. Lying on my right-hand side, I'm going to reach over with my left arm. I'll get stuck at the point where I can't move anymore. I want to fix my hips because I want the movement to come from my thoracic spine. Your rib cage connects into our thoracic spine. Your rib cage, your thoracic spine, your diaphragm, your shoulder blades which sit on your rib cage, your hip flexors which connect with your diaphragm are all connected. If your ribs are moving better, your rib cage is better, your spine is better, your posture is better, your breathing is better, your shoulder blades are sitting better, your shoulders are functioning better, you're throwing better. But cognitively, when we're feeling really tired, we find it more difficult to focus and concentrate on simple things. How many times, my context of rugby was like, how many times did I drop a pass? Not because I can't catch the ball, I've got the skill to do it, but when I'm really fatigued, oxygen's low, CO2's high, it's harder to concentrate. We just proved to some of us, counting steps, that cognitive function of that is challenging when I'm feeling out of breath. Remember, our low level, we're warming up. We breathe in, gently to the bottom. So breathing is quiet. You're going to feel a small movement of the ribs lower down, a small movement of the diaphragm as you breathe quietly. After that, we're trying to then breathe bigger, so we're going to go in and out through the nose, but it's going to be a bigger breath. So I breathe into here still, to start with, but then I let it rise up with me. Starts from the bottom, but it rises up with me. So it's bigger. When that's too difficult, nose in, as we just did. Starts from here, and then mouth out. But I'm able to control it. You know, you don't get better from training because you train. You realise that? You get better from training once you've recovered from the training. And you only recover, really, at night when you're asleep. When you're asleep, you're not in control of your breathing. You can't choose how you breathe when you're asleep. Practicing like this for 5 to 10 minutes before you go to sleep sets a tone for your body to keep doing this whilst you're asleep. So you should wake up in the morning feeling more refreshed and recovered faster, better. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So guys, honestly, I thought that was class. Let's have a good practice.